Good morning everyone. Now today we are going to do sum 50. 1 square plus 3 square plus 5 square plus up to plus 2n minus 1 whole square is equals to n 2n minus 1 2n plus 1 by 3. We have to prove this sum by principle of mathematical induction. So first we take given statement as a Pn, that means given statement is Pn. Okay, and now we prove P of 1 is true. So for n is equals to 1, left hand side is 1 square, so 1. Right hand side is equals to, for right hand side we take n is equals to 1 in right hand side of Pn. So 1, 2 into 1, that means 2 minus 1, 2 1s are 2 plus 1 upon 3. So 1 into 1 into 3 by 3. So answer is 1. So LHS is equals to RHS. So we can say P of 1 is true. Now we assume that P of k is true. That means this statement is true for any k. Assume that P of k is true. So now we can write statement Pk. So Pk. For statement P of k, we have to write down statement Pn, but replace n by k. That means when we see n, we can write k. So 1 square plus 3 square plus 5 square up to 2k minus 1 whole square is equals to k 2k minus 1 2k plus 1 upon 3 for all natural numbers. That means k belongs to n. Now to prove P of k plus 1 is true, now we have to prove by using P of k is true, P of k plus 1 is true. That means this statement is also true for, this statement is true for k plus 1. So now we take left hand side. To write down left side of P of k plus 1, first we have to write down the left hand side of P of k, that means this step. So I can write 1 square, 3 square, 5 square up to 2k minus 1 whole square. And then we have to add one step more. And this step is written last step of P of k. But k is replaced by k plus 1. So 2 in the bracket k plus 1 minus 1 whole square. To write down left hand side of P of k plus 1, first we have to write left hand side of P of k, and then we have to write down one step more. और उस स्टेप में हमें क्या करना है, P of k का जो लास्ट स्टेप है वही लिखना है, लेकिन k की जगह k +1 लिखना है. Okay. Now we replace the value of left hand side of pk from p of k, and value of this step is k in the bracket 2k minus 1 2k plus 1 by 3 plus this became 2k plus 2 minus 1. So we have 2k plus 1. 2 is multiplied in this bracket. So 2k plus 2 minus 1. So here we have 2k plus 1 whole square. Now we solve these two steps. And if we get which answer, first we have decided. By simplifying these two steps, what we get, then we can say that left hand side is equals to our right hand side. Okay, so first we decide which step is come after solving these two steps. और उसके लिए हमें क्या करना है, जो pn है उसकी राइट हैंड साइड में जहां n है उसकी जगह k plus 1 लिखना है. So here k plus 1 in the bracket 2 k plus 1 bracket is over minus 1 in second bracket 2 k plus 1 by 3. So k plus 1 bracket is open, then 2k plus 2 minus 1. So 2k plus 1. 2k plus 2 plus 1. So 2k plus 3. So first we have to decide that which step if we get by simplifying these two steps. Then we can say left hand side is equals to right hand side. Okay. So now simplifying these two steps. If we get k plus 1, 2k plus 1, 2k plus 3 by 3, then we can say that left for p of k plus 1, left hand side is equals to right hand side. Okay. Now to simplify these two steps, first we can see that 2k plus 1 whole square and here 2k plus 1. So we can take 2k plus 1 as common. So in the bracket k 2k minus 1 by 3k plus 2k plus 1. Because 2k plus 1 whole square and 1 2k plus 1 is taking common. Now we can take 3 as LCM. Okay. So k 2k minus 1 plus 3 in the bracket 2k plus 1 by 3. K is multiplied by 2k minus 1. So 2k square minus k plus 6k plus 3 by 3. 2k plus 1. So here 2k square. These two terms are like terms. So here 5k plus 3 by 3. Now this is quadratic equation. So we can factorize it by splitting method. Otherwise middle term. So 3 to the 6. 2k square plus 5k plus 3. You already learned factors in standard 9. So 3 to the 6. We have to factorize 6 as addition of two factors of 6 is 5. So factors are 2 and 3. So 3 to the 6 and 2 plus 3 5. So here 2k square plus 2k plus 3k plus 3. We split middle term. So this method is also known as splitting method. Okay. Now we can take 2k common out. So here k plus 1. Here 3 is common. So k plus 1 and 2k plus 3. So factors of 2k square plus 5k plus 3 are k plus 1 and 2k plus 3. So I can write 2k plus 1 as it is, and factors of 2k square plus 5k plus 3 are k plus 1, 2k plus 3 by 3. And as usual, we want this as k plus 1, k plus 1, 2k plus 1, 2k plus 1, 2k plus 3, 2k plus 3 by 3. So we can say that for p of k plus 1, left hand side is equals to right hand side. So p of k is true implies p of k plus 1 is true. That means we can take p of k is true, and using that we prove that p of k plus 1 is true, and therefore by PMI, that means principle of mathematical induction, given statement is true for all natural numbers, for all n belongs to n, that means for all natural numbers. Okay. Now question number 60. Given statement p of n is 1 upon 1 into 4 plus 1 upon 4 into 7 plus 1 upon 7 into 10 plus up to plus 1 upon 3n minus 2 into 3n plus 1 is equals to n upon 3n plus 1. Okay. First we take given statement as p of n. So given statement is p of n for all n belongs to n. First we prove p of 1 is 2. That means for n is equals to 1. Left hand side is equals to 1 upon 1 into 4. So we have 1 by 4. And in right hand side we can replace n by 1. So 1 upon 3 into 1 plus 1. So 1 upon 3 plus 1. So 1 by 4. So LHS is equals to RHS. So we can say p of 1 is true. Now we assume that p of k is true. So we have to write down statement p of k. To write statement p of k, we have to write down exactly statement pn. But n is replaced by k. That means we have to write down k whenever we see n. So plus up to plus 1 upon 3k minus 2, 3k plus 1, k upon 3k plus 1 for all k belongs to n. Now to prove p of k plus 1 is true, we have to take left hand side. So for left hand side of p of k plus 1, we have to write down left hand side of P of K exactly. 1 upon 1 into 4 plus 1 upon 4 into 7 plus up to plus 1 upon 3k minus 2 into 3k plus 1. And then we have to write one step more. And to write, how to write this one step more? We have to replace k by k plus 1 in last step of P of k. यानी कि P स्टेटमेंट P of k की लेफ्ट हैंड साइड लिखनी है, उसके बाद एक स्टेप ज़्यादा लिखना है. उसमें क्या करना है, जो P of k की लेफ्ट हैंड साइड का लास्ट स्टेप है उसमें k की जगह k plus 1 लिखना है. So k is replaced by k plus 1. So and here you have to must remember that k plus 1 is always written in the bracket, because I can say you k is replaced by k plus 1, then someone write like this, k is replaced by k plus 1, then 3 as it is, k is replaced by k plus 1 minus 2. 3 as it is, k is replaced by k plus 1 plus 1. Now, if you write like this, then these steps became 3k minus 1 and this step is 3k plus 2. But actually, if we solve 3k plus 3 minus 2, then this here 3k plus 1 and here 3k plus 3 plus 1. So, actual steps are 3k plus 1 and 3k plus 4. But you can write down k plus 1 like this. Then you get 3k minus 1 and 3k plus 2, which is wrong. So, always remember that wherever we replace k by k plus 1, then k plus 1 is written in the bracket and then we can solve. Okay. Now, we replace value of left hand side of pk from statement pk. So value of this step is k upon 3k plus 1 plus 1 upon 3k plus 3 minus 2. So here 3k plus 1 and here 3k plus 4. Okay. इतना लिखने के बाद हमें ये तय करना है कि बाय सिंप्लीफाइंग दिस टू स्टेप्स which step we get, then we can say left hand side is equals to right hand side. यानी कि ये दो स्टेप को सिंप्लीफाई करने के बाद क्या आंसर आएगा, तो हम कह सकते हैं कि फॉर p of k plus 1 left hand side is equals to right hand side. तो for that we have replaced n by k plus 1 in राइट हैंड साइड ऑफ गिवन स्टेटमेंट. मीन्स जो स्टेटमेंट दिया है उसकी जो राइट हैंड साइड है वहाँ n की जगह k plus 1 लिखना है. सो k plus 1 अपॉन 3 एज इट इज. n is replaced by k plus 1. So here k plus 1, 3k plus 3 plus 1. So 3k plus 4. तो उसका मतलब है if to solving these two steps we get k plus 1 upon 3k plus 4, then we can say left hand side is equals to right hand side. Now we can take 1 upon 3k plus 1 as common. So here k plus 1 upon 3k plus 4. Now 3k plus 1 as it is. 3k plus 4 is LCM. So here 3k square plus 4k plus 1 upon 3k plus 4. Now this is a quadratic equation. So we factorize it by splitting method. So 3k square plus 4k plus 1. 3 ones are 3. So we have to factor 3 and addition of this factor is 4. So 3 ones are 3 and 3 plus 1 4. So we can split middle term like this. And now taking group of 2 pairs. So here common 3k. So here k plus 1. Here 1 and here k plus 1. So factors are k plus 1 and 3k plus 1. So now 1 upon 3k plus 1 as it is. And factors of 3k square plus 4k plus 1 are k plus 1, 3k plus 1 and 3k plus 4 as it is. Now 3k plus 1 and 3k plus 1 cut. So we have k plus 1 upon 3k plus 4, which we want. K plus 1, k plus 1, 3k plus 4, 3k plus 4. So we can say left hand side is equals to right hand side. And therefore P of k is true. Implies P of k plus 1 is true. हमने P of k plus 1 is true एज्यूम किया और उसके यूज करके P of k plus 1 is true है ये प्रूव किया. And therefore by PMI given statement Pn is true for all natural number. PMI, that means principle of mathematical induction. To prove any sum by mathematical induction, we have to follow 3 steps. The first one is, first we have to prove P of 1 is true. That means given statement is true for n is equals to 1. So we take left hand side, and in last step of left hand side n is replaced by 1, and then we have take right hand side. So in right hand side n is replaced by 1. If left hand side and right hand side are equal, then we can say P of 1 is true. Then we have to assume that P of k is true. P of k is true means given statement is true for any natural number k. And we have to write down exactly statement P of a, that means given statement, but n is replaced by k. And then we have to prove P of k plus 1 is true. That means we have to take left hand side and then we prove right hand side. To write down left hand side of P of k plus 1, first we have to write down left hand side of statement Pk, and then we have to write down one step more. And this step, how can we write? Last step of P of k. K is replaced by k plus 1. Okay, and then we simplify left hand side. What answer we get? Then we can say left hand side is equals to right hand side. So in given statement, if in given statement right hand side is like this, n upon n plus 1, then we can replace n by k plus 1. So we have, so by simplifying these terms, we get k plus 1 upon 3k plus 4. Then we can say LHS is equals to RHS. You have to must remember that when n is replaced, n or k is replaced by k plus 1, you have to write down k plus 1 in the bracket. If you can't write down in the bracket, then term is like this: 3k plus 1, k plus 1. Then answer is 3k plus 2. But real answer is 3k plus 4. Okay, so you have to remember that whenever you can write down k plus 1 is write down in the bracket. In any sum, we have to follow these 3 steps. And last, we can say that P of k is true implies P of k plus 1 is true. That means we take P of k plus 1, k is true, and using that we prove P of k is true. And therefore by PMI that means principle of mathematical induction. Given statement is true for any natural number.